There is a specific kind of heartache that comes from opening the crisper drawer on a Tuesday evening, reaching for a handful of grapes you bought with good intentions just 3 days prior, and finding them slimy. You pull back the plastic bag, and the smell hits you first. It is not the sweet floral scent of summer fruit. It is sharp. It is fermented. It smells like vinegar and regret. You look at those purple or green spheres, once plump and firm, now shriveled into sad, wrinkled raisins, or bursting open with a gray fuzz that seems to have appeared overnight. You feel that small, heavy knot in your stomach. That is the feeling of waste. That is the feeling of watching your hard-earned money rot away in the dark. You think to yourself, I only meant to eat a few. I only meant to save them for the kids' lunches. But here they are, ruined. And so you dump them into the trash, listening to the wet thud as they hit the bottom of the bin, and you close the lid. But I am here to tell you that this failure is not your fault. You were taught to buy with your eyes, not with your knowledge. The modern world has forgotten the old way of handling living things. We treat fruit like it is manufactured in a factory, static and unchanging, when in truth, a grape is still breathing, still sweating, still alive even after it has been picked. By the time you finish listening to me today, you will have the verified rules to never fail at this again. You will know how to pick them, how to store them, and how to keep them crisp and sweet for weeks, not days. You will stop throwing money in the trash. I am Isaac Byler, and I keep house and farm here in Lancaster County the way it was handed down to me before the world got so fast. My hands are rough from the soil, but my mind is clear on the matters of stewardship. We do not waste here. Waste is a sin against the provision we have been given. If you value this kind of plain, practical know-how that the world is trying to bury under layers of marketing and convenience, I would ask you to subscribe to this channel. It helps us keep these old traditions alive for the next generation, so they might know how to feed themselves without relying on the whims of a supply chain that does not care if they eat well. Now, one honest word so you trust me. I am not going to promise you magic. Grapes are delicate. They are temperamental. Even with perfect care, nature has its own timeline. But I can promise you that if you follow these steps, you will extend the life of your fruit by 2, sometimes 3 times what you are getting now. You will save money, yes, but more than that, you will gain peace of mind. You will know that when you reach into that drawer, you will find food, not failure. You must understand that the grocery store is not designed to help you keep your food fresh. It is designed to move product. The big brands and the chains profit from your lack of knowledge. They want you to buy more because the first batch rotted. They package grapes in ways that look beautiful on the shelf, but trap moisture and heat, creating a greenhouse effect inside that little plastic clamshell or bag. This system runs itself on waste. It counts on you being too busy, too tired, or too uninformed to notice that the stem is brown, or that the berries are softening. They rely on the fact that you will blame yourself, or worse, that you will simply accept it as the cost of modern living. But plain knowledge costs only pocket change. It costs attention. It costs a moment of pause before you put the item in your cart. The industry wants you to believe that freshness is something that happens to you, something you purchase. I am here to tell you that freshness is something you maintain. It is a partnership between the farmer who grew it and you who keep it. When you break that chain by buying poorly or storing incorrectly, you are playing into a system that values volume over vitality. We are going to step out of that system today. We are going to look at the grape not as a commodity, but as a living organism that requires respect. The first rule is to inspect the bloom. When you walk down the aisle, do not just grab the bag that is closest to your hand. Look closely at the skin of the grapes. You are looking for a dusty, whitish coating. In the trade, we call this the bloom. It is a natural wax produced by the grape to protect itself from moisture loss and disease. It is a sign of health. If the grapes are shiny and glossy, they have been handled too much, washed prematurely, or are old. The bloom should be intact. It should look like a fine mist of powder on the skin. If you see patches where the bloom is rubbed off, it means those grapes have been jostled in transport, and the skin may be compromised. A compromised skin lets bacteria in. Bacteria bring rot. So seek the dusty grape, It looks less pretty to the untrained eye, perhaps, but it is the armor of the fruit. Do not wipe it off until you are ready to eat. That dust is medicine. It is the barrier between the sweet flesh and the spoiling air. Remember, the line between medicine and poison is the dose, and in this case, the dose is presence. Be present enough to look for the bloom. The second rule concerns the stem. Turn the cluster over. Look at the point where the grape attaches to the branch. This is the lifeline. If the stem is brown, brittle, and snaps easily when you touch it, the grape is dead. It has been detached from its source of hydration for too long. You want a stem that is green and flexible. It should bend, not break. A green stem indicates that the grape was harvested recently and has retained its internal moisture. When the stem dries out, it pulls moisture from the berry itself, causing the grape to shrivel from the inside out. This is why you often see grapes that are still firm but have wrinkled skins near the stem end. The stem has stolen their water. Check the flexibility. Give it a gentle tug. If it feels supple, it is good. If it feels like dry twigs, put it back. This is a simple test, but most people ignore it because they are looking at the size of the berry. Size is vanity. Stem health is vitality. The third rule is about weight and density. Pick up the bag or the clamshell. It should feel heavy for its size. Grapes are mostly water. As they age, they lose water through transpiration, even through the skin. A light bag means dehydrated fruit. Dehydrated fruit is concentrated in sugar, yes, but it is also losing its structural integrity. It will turn to mush faster once you bring it home. You want dense, heavy clusters. Shake the bag gently. Listen. If you hear a lot of sliding and rattling, the berries are loose and likely separating from the stems. You want them tight. You want them holding on to each other. This cohesion suggests they are fresh and turgid. Turgor pressure is the scientific term for the water pressure inside the cells that keeps the plant rigid. When that pressure drops, the grape wilts. Heavy means high turgor. Light means low turgor. Choose the heavy hand. The fourth rule is to check for leaks. Look at the bottom of the container. Is there any sticky residue? Any juice? If you see liquid at the bottom, some grapes have already burst. Once a grape bursts, it releases sugars and acids that attract yeast and mold. One bad apple spoils the bunch, but one bad grape spoils the entire bag within 24 hours. The yeast feeds on the sugar, ferments it, and spreads spores to the neighboring healthy grapes. Do not buy a bag with juice at the bottom. It is already beginning the process of decay. Even if the rest look fine, the microscopic damage is done. The air inside that bag is now contaminated with spoilage organisms. Walk away. It is better to pay $1 more for a clean bag than to throw away $5 of rotting fruit 2 days later. This is basic hygiene, but it is ignored in the rush of the checkout line. The fifth rule is about temperature shock. When you buy grapes, they are cold. They have been kept in refrigerated storage. Do not leave them in a hot car. Do not let them sit on the counter while you unpack the rest of your groceries for an hour. Heat accelerates respiration. The hotter the grape gets, the faster it burns through its stored sugars, and the faster it decays. Get them home and get them into the cold immediately. But here is the nuance. Do not wash them before you store them. Water on the surface promotes mold growth in the humid environment of the refrigerator. Wash them only right before you eat them. Keep them dry. Keep them cold. This slows down the enzymatic activity that leads to softening. Think of the grape as sleeping. You want to keep it in a deep sleep until you wake it up with your teeth. The sixth rule is about airflow. If you buy grapes in a sealed plastic bag, punch a few holes in it. Or better yet, transfer them to a breathable container. A paper bag works well. A glass jar with the lid slightly ajar works well. Grapes need to breathe. They emit ethylene gas, a natural ripening hormone. If you trap that gas around the fruit, it signals the grapes to ripen faster, which leads to over-ripening and rot. By allowing airflow, you disperse the ethylene. You slow down the clock. In the old days, we stored fruit in root cellars where the air was cool and moving. Your refrigerator is your modern root cellar, but you must mimic the airflow. Do not suffocate your food. Let it breathe. This is a small act of kindness that yields great results. The seventh rule is the inspection of the individual berry. Before you put the bag in the fridge, take a moment to remove any grapes that are already soft, discolored, or leaking. One bad grape will infect the others. It is like a sick sheep in the flock. You must separate it to save the herd. Go through the cluster, pick out the offenders, eat them immediately if they are still good, or discard them if they are gone. This takes 2 minutes. It saves the rest of the bunch. Most people skip this step because they are tired, but this 2-minute investment protects the $10 you just spent. It is the difference between eating fresh grapes for a week and throwing them out in 3 days. Be diligent, be thorough, remove the weak to save the strong. Now let us speak of what most people throw away. The stems, the leaves. In a kitchen run with care, there is no such thing as garbage. When you have finished eating the grapes, do not toss the stems into the compost just yet. Grape stems are rich in tannins and antioxidants. They have a bitter, astringent quality that is powerful in small doses. You can boil them to make a tea. It is not sweet. It is earthy and slightly medicinal. It aids digestion. It calms the stomach. Our ancestors knew this. They used every part of the plant. The leaves, too, if you can find fresh ones or buy them, are edible. They are used in many cultures to wrap rice and meat, imparting a subtle, tangy flavor. But even if you do not cook with them, consider the stems for your garden. Chop them up and mix them into your soil. They add organic matter. They return nutrients to the earth. Nothing is wasted. The cycle continues. When you view the grape as a whole system, you see value where others see trash. This mindset shift is the core of plain living. It is respecting the labor of the sun and the soil by using all that is given. Let us do the math plainly. An average family might buy 2 bags of grapes a week. At $3 a bag, that is $6 a week, $24 a month, nearly $300 a year. If you waste half of that because of poor selection and storage, you are throwing away $150. That is a utility bill. That is a tank of gas. That is a new pair of work boots. By following these 7 rules, you reduce waste to near zero. You stretch that $300 to cover $600 worth of consumption. You are effectively doubling your purchasing power without earning another cent. But the cost savings are only half the benefit. The other half is the quality of life. When you serve your children grapes that are crisp, cold, and sweet, you are teaching them what real food tastes like. You are showing them that care yields reward. You are breaking the cycle of disposable consumption. You are teaching them to look, to feel, to weigh, to inspect. These are skills that serve them in all areas of life. A child who learns to discern the quality of a grape will grow into an adult who can discern the quality of a job, a friend, a commitment. It starts with the fruit. It starts with the small, daily acts of attention. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments what state you are in, what county, and how old your house is. I read every word. I like to know who is sitting at the table with me. Are you in a new build in the suburbs or an old farmhouse in the valley? Knowing where you are helps me understand how these truths land in your life. If you have found value in this plain speaking, please subscribe. It is a small click for you, but it is a large encouragement to me. It tells the algorithm that there is still a hunger for wisdom that does not shout, but whispers. Remind yourself that you are capable of mastering these small things. You are not helpless against the rot. You have the knowledge now. Use it. Next time we will talk about something that sits in your fireplace or your wood stove. Something black and powdery that most people sweep away and forget. I will show you what a single cup of wood ash does to your lawn. It is not dirt, it is potent. It changes the chemistry of the soil in ways that commercial fertilizers cannot match. But it must be used with caution. Too much burns. Too little does nothing. I will give you the exact measure. Until then, keep your eyes open, keep your hands busy, and keep your heart steady. Go check your grapes.